The wind howled across the frozen plains of Vega 9. The planet was covered in white ice and deep blue shadows. No sound lived there except the endless storm and the crack of breaking frost. Inside a small metal shelter, a human colony tried to survive another long night. Machines hummed, heaters buzzed, and lights flickered as power levels dropped again. It was cold enough to freeze breath into tiny crystals that floated in the air. Among the settlers was a little boy named Eli, only 5 years old. He had big brown eyes, messy hair, and a heart warmer than any fire. His parents were scientists who came from Earth to study alien ice minerals. They often told him to stay close to the heater and never go outside alone. But that night something strange happened. Eli woke up from his sleep because he heard a sound. It was soft, like crying, small voices calling in the storm. He sat up and looked out the frosty window. The world outside was white and endless. Yet he saw two small shapes moving near the broken dome. Without thinking, Eli put on his small coat and boots. He took his favorite blanket, the one his mother made on Earth. It was red and soft and smelled like home. He opened the airlock and the cold hit him like knives. The storm screamed, but Eli kept walking, his little feet sinking into the snow. When he reached the broken dome, he found them, two small alien children. Thin and trembling, with skin glowing pale blue, their big silver eyes looked empty and scared. They had no clothes, only cracked skin and frost on their tiny fingers. Eli's heart hurt when he saw them. They looked so weak, like they would break apart in the wind. He knelt beside them and wrapped his blanket around their shivering bodies. "It's okay," he whispered, his voice shaking. "You're safe now." The aliens blinked slowly, their glow flickering like candlelight. One of them touched his hand. It was cold like ice. But the moment Eli's warmth touched them, the glow became stronger. The snow around them started to melt a little. Eli smiled, his teeth chattering. "See? Better now," he said softly back in the shelter. His parents woke up and found his bed empty. The door was open, alarms flashing red. "Eli!" his mother cried, running to the airlock. His father grabbed his jacket and rushed outside into the storm. They found him kneeling beside the broken dome. The boy was shaking but still holding the blanket around the alien twins. His lips were blue, but he was smiling. "We have to help them," Eli said weakly. They were so cold. The parents exchanged quick looks. Fear, confusion, and something like wonder. The alien twins looked back at them, glowing softly, their eyes full of innocence and strange beauty. Without a word, the father lifted one twin, and the mother carried the other. Eli followed, dragging his small boots through the snow. The door closed behind them with a hiss, sealing the warmth inside. Dr. Wren, the colony's medic, rushed to the scene. He scanned the twins and blinked at the readings. "They are not like any known species," he said quietly. "Their body temperature, it's below freezing, yet they live." He looked at Eli and asked, "Where did you find them?" Eli pointed outside and said they were alone. They were crying. The twins slowly opened their eyes again. They reached out tiny hands toward Eli, touching the red blanket still on their shoulders. Their bodies began to glow brighter. The air around them shimmered with soft golden light. Everyone stepped back in shock. The heater's temperature monitor started to rise on its own. The cold metal walls began to sweat with warmth, Dr. Wren whispered. This is not possible." Eli only smiled and said, "They're warm now." The twins smiled back, whispering something soft, words no one understood. It sounded like music made of wind and light. For a moment, everyone forgot about fear. The storm outside grew quiet, as if the world itself was listening. And deep in the black sky above Vega 9, a strange blue light blinked far away. An alien ship responding to the signal. Something had changed forever on that frozen world. And it all began with a small boy and his blanket. The morning on Vega 9 was quiet and strange. The storm had stopped, and sunlight shone weakly through the clouds. For the first time in many days, the air did not bite like knives. It was still cold. But there was a strange warmth inside the shelter. Dr. Wren stood beside the metal bed where the alien twins slept. Their bodies glowed faint blue under the blanket Eli had given them. The red color of the cloth had changed slightly overnight. Now it shimmered with a soft golden shine. The doctor looked confused, whispering to himself, "It's absorbing heat from nowhere." Eli sat nearby, holding a small cup of hot chocolate. He watched the twins breathe slowly. Each time they exhaled, tiny sparks of light floated into the air. He smiled and whispered, "You're safe now." Don't be scared. His mother knelt beside him and placed a hand on his shoulder. You did something very brave, Eli, she said softly, but also very dangerous. Eli looked up with his big brown eyes and said, They were cold, Mom. I just wanted to help, she sighed, kissed his head and whispered, I know. My hero, suddenly one of the twins stirred. Its silver eyes opened. Glowing brighter than before, the other followed, and soon both were sitting up slowly. They looked at Eli and made a soft humming sound. It was not speech, but somehow it felt like a thank you. Everyone in the room felt a strange warmth spreading in their chest. It was like standing under sunlight after a long night. Dr. Wren took a scanner and checked their vitals. Then he froze. Unbelievable, he whispered. Their cells are changing. Eli's father looked at the screen, confused. Changing how? Their energy level is rising, the doctor said, and it's matching Eli's body frequency. What does that mean? The mother asked. The doctor frowned. It means they are bonding with him somehow. Eli reached out his small hand. The twins leaned closer and touched his fingers. The scanner beeped wildly, showing light waves dancing across the screen. The twins' glow grew stronger and the air became warmer. The ice on the metal walls began to melt drop by drop. Everyone stared in silence as steam filled the room. Outside the window, something moved in the sky. A faint blue light blinked far away, like an eye watching from the stars. No one noticed it yet, but it was growing closer every second. Eli laughed as the twins tried to mimic his movements. He waved his hand and they waved too. He smiled. See? We're friends now. The twins tilted their heads, repeating softly. And the sound was broken but sweet. Eli clapped his hands, amazed that they spoke. The adults exchanged worried looks. Dr. Wren whispered, They are learning fast. Too fast. The mother frowned. What if others come looking for them? The father replied, Then we'll have to face whatever comes. Hours passed, and the twins began exploring the room. They touched the walls, machines, and lights. Wherever their fingers brushed, the metal warmed and shimmered. One of them touched a small plant by the window. The frost on the leaves melted instantly, and tiny green buds appeared. Eli gasped, Look! They made it alive again. The twins giggled in their strange humming tone. Their joy filled the whole shelter. Even the tired workers smiled for the first time in weeks. It was as if the twins carried hope inside them. As the night returned, the twins grew sleepy again. Eli tucked them under the blanket and sat nearby. Dr. Wren dimmed the lights and whispered, Whatever they are, they're not dangerous, at least not now. But deep in his heart, he felt uneasy. Energy that powerful was never without cost. While everyone slept, the blue light in the sky grew larger. It was no longer one dot. It was a massive shape. Moving silently through the clouds, the alien ship had arrived. Drawn by the energy the twins released inside the ship, strange figures watched the human base through glowing screens. Their leader's voice was cold and sharp. The Star Children are alive, he said, but they are with humans. He raised his hand and gave the order. Prepare for retrieval. Down below, Eli woke up suddenly. He didn't know why, but he felt a strange chill in his heart. He looked out the window and saw the stars flicker blue. He whispered to the sleeping twins, Don't worry. I'll protect you. The twins stirred and murmured something softly, a word that sounded like protector. The wind outside began to rise again, and the sky turned darker. The gift of warmth had saved 2 lives, but it had also sent a signal across the galaxy. Something was coming, and nothing on Vega 9 would ever be the same again. The ice cracked and thunder rolled across the valley of Vega 9. The alien ship's blue lights flashed through the storm. Dark shadow creatures crawled from the frozen ground, moving like smoke with glowing red eyes. Their screams echoed through the cold air. Shaking the human base, Eli stood near the window, clutching the twins close to his chest. His small red blanket glowed brighter than ever, filling the room with golden light. The twins pressed their hands together and whispered in their strange melodic voices. Each sound they made created soft ripples of heat that melted the frost on the walls. Outside, the alien soldiers formed a circle around their leader. Their silver armor shone against the darkness. The leader raised his staff and shouted a command. A wave of blue energy blasted across the ground, freezing the shadows where they stood. But the relief lasted only a second. The shadows melted and reformed, stronger than before. Dr. Wren stared at his scanner in disbelief. These things, They absorb energy, he said, his voice shaking. Eli's father whispered. Then how do we stop them? Before anyone could answer, the twins' glow grew even stronger. The energy lines on their skin pulsed in rhythm with Eli's heartbeat. The leader turned toward the human shelter. He shouted through the translator, "The star children must be taken back." "They carry the light core." Eli stepped forward, his voice small but firm. "No, they stay with me." The leader's eyes narrowed, glowing blue like a frozen flame. "You are just a child," he said. "You cannot protect them." Eli held the twins' hands tightly. "But they chose me," he said softly. "I'm their protector." The leader stared for a long moment, then lowered his staff slowly. Something inside him changed, the anger fading into respect. "The bond between you and them," he whispered. "It is real." He looked at the twins and said in his native tongue, "Show him your truth." The twins turned to Eli and placed their small hands on his chest. In that moment, a bright light burst through the room. Eli saw visions, flashes of stars, ancient temples of light, and great ships made of crystal. He saw the twins floating inside a cocoon of energy, asleep for centuries under the ice. Then he saw himself, a small boy holding a blanket glowing like fire in the dark. The vision faded and Eli gasped for breath. The leader nodded slowly. "You see now," he said. "They are star children, born to restore the warmth of dying worlds." Dr. Wren stepped closer, amazed. "So that's why their energy reacts to kindness," the leader replied. "The light core responds only to pure hearts." He looked down at Eli. "And somehow, a human child carries that purity." The ground trembled again as more shadows crawled from the cracks. The aliens formed ranks, but their weapons had little effect. Eli looked at the twins. "We have to help them," he said. The twins nodded and took his hands. Their glow turned white and the air began to hum softly. Outside, every shadow stopped moving. The red light in their eyes faded, replaced by confusion. A wave of warmth spread from the human base. The snow melted, and the ice cracked open to reveal crystal pools of light. For a moment, Vega 9 looked alive again. The alien soldiers lowered their weapons. Staring in awe, the leader looked at Eli, his voice trembling. "The light answers you." He knelt on one knee before the boy. Bowing his head, Eli blinked, confused. "Why are you kneeling?" The leader said quietly, "Because you are now the protector of light." Dr. Wren's mouth fell open. "He's 5 years old," he whispered. The leader replied, "Age does not matter to the core. Only the heart does." He placed his hand on Eli's shoulder. "The star children have chosen you, and now you are bound to them." Suddenly, a loud alarm echoed across the base. One of the human soldiers shouted, "Something massive is moving under the ice." The monitors flashed red, showing a huge shadow spreading beneath the colony. The leader stood quickly, gripping his staff. "The source," he said grimly. "The one who controls the dark." The floor shook violently, and a deep roar rose from the frozen ground through the cracks. A huge shape began to rise, taller than the ship, covered in black crystal. Its red eyes burned like two suns of hate. The leader shouted, "Everyone fall back!" Eli stepped closer to the window, his blanket glowing fiercely. The twins stood beside him, their tiny hands shining white. He whispered, "We can't run forever." The leader turned and stared at him. "You can't fight it," he warned. Eli looked up, his eyes calm and steady. "Maybe not with weapons," he said, "but with warmth." The twins lifted their hands, and the entire sky lit up with golden light. The shadow creature screamed, covering its face as the ice began to crack beneath it. The warmth spread like fire, pushing the darkness back for a moment. The battle for Vega 9 had truly begun, and at its heart stood the smallest warrior of them all, the protector of light. The golden light faded slowly over the frozen valley. Steam rose from the melting snow and the air smelled like burnt ice. The great shadow monster had vanished beneath the ground. But everyone knew it was not gone, only waiting. The alien leader stood beside Eli, his armor cracked and glowing faintly. He looked at the boy and said quietly, "The source will return." Eli hugged the twins close, his small blanket glowing softly between them. He whispered, "We'll stop it." "We have to." Dr. Wren checked his scanners again. "The energy levels are still climbing below the surface," he said. "It's feeding on the planet's core." The leader frowned. "Then time is running out." The twins walked to the window. pressing their glowing hands against the glass, their silver eyes filled with sadness. Eli followed them and asked, "Why do you look sad?" One of the twins turned and touched his cheek gently. A soft whisper echoed in his mind, not words, but feelings. He saw images of other creatures, once bright like the twins, now twisted into the dark shapes that crawled under the ice. Eli gasped. "They're your family," he whispered. The twins nodded slowly, their eyes shining with tears of light. The room fell silent as everyone understood. The monsters outside were not just enemies. They were the lost children of the stars, trapped by the darkness for centuries. The alien leader clenched his fist. "The shadow kind," he said. "Once guardians of warmth, now slaves of cold." Dr. Wren looked at Eli. "Then maybe we can save them," he said softly. The leader shook his head. "No one can fight the cold inside them." But Eli stepped forward and said, "Maybe not with fighting." He looked down at his red blanket, the symbol of his first kindness. "If warmth changed the twins," he whispered, "maybe it can change the others too." The leader stared at him, stunned by the courage in such a small body. "Human," he said slowly. "You speak like a prophet," Eli smiled shyly. "My mom says I talk too much." Even the twins giggled softly. Breaking the heavy silence outside, the ground rumbled again. Cracks of blue light spread across the ice like veins of lightning. From those cracks, hundreds of dark shapes began to rise. Their red eyes burned brighter than before. They surrounded the colony, forming a black sea of living shadows. The human soldiers raised their weapons. The alien warriors stood ready beside them. For the first time, two different species stood side by side. Not as enemies, but as one army. Eli stood in the center. Holding the twins' hands, he whispered to them. "Let's try." The twins nodded, their bodies glowing white. Together they closed their eyes. The red blanket around Eli's shoulders began to shimmer like fire. A wave of golden light spread across the snow. It touched the nearest shadow, and for a second the creature froze. Its red eyes flickered, turning soft blue. It screamed in pain, not anger but sorrow. Then it fell to its knees and dissolved into tiny particles of light. Dr. Wren gasped, "You did it, Eli." But Eli shook his head. "Not me, us," he said, looking at the twins. The light spread faster, touching more shadows. Each one reacted differently. Some screamed, some tried to hide. But one by one, their darkness started to fade. The alien leader watched with tears in his glowing eyes. "The warmth," he whispered. "It's not power. It's connection." The twins kept glowing brighter, their bodies trembling. Eli squeezed their hands tighter. "Don't stop, we can save them all." Suddenly, the ground split open behind them. The source rose again, a giant figure made of black crystal and fire. It roared, shaking the mountains. The light waves stopped as fear spread through the group. The creature's voice echoed like thunder. "You cannot change what is broken." Eli looked up, his small face filled with determination. "Yes, we can," he said softly. "Because we care." He stepped forward. His boots sinking into the melting ice, the twins followed, their light shining so bright it cut through the smoke. Every shadow creature turned to watch as the three small figures walked toward the monster. The alien leader shouted, "Eli, stop!" But the boy didn't listen. He kept walking until he stood in front of the giant. The creature looked down, its red eyes burning like suns. Eli lifted his blanket slowly and said, "You're not alone anymore." The golden light burst from the blanket again. It spread through the valley like a rising dawn. The shadows screamed and then began to glow. Their dark shells cracked open, revealing silver light underneath. The twins smiled through tears as more and more shadows changed. But the source only grew angrier, its crystal body shaking violently. The leader shouted, "It's too strong." Dr. Wren yelled, "If it reaches the core, the planet will die." Eli turned to the twins, his small hands trembling. "Then we have to go closer." The twins nodded, eyes full of light and courage. Together they walked toward the roaring darkness. The battle for Vega 9 had become something greater than survival. It was now a fight for every heart that had ever turned cold, and at the center of it all stood a 5-year-old boy, holding nothing but faith, friendship, and a glowing red blanket. The sky above Vega 9 glowed with fire and light. The ice cracked like glass beneath the battle of warmth and shadow. The source, the dark crystal giant, towered above everything. Its voice rumbled through the air like a storm trapped inside stone. Eli stood at the front, his small boots buried in melting snow. The red blanket around his shoulders flickered with gold and white. Beside him stood the alien twins, their hands glowing brighter with every heartbeat. Their silver eyes looked tired but full of trust. They believed in the little boy who had once shared his warmth with them. The alien leader watched from the colony gate. His soldiers tried to form a shield, but the source's energy broke through like fire. He shouted, "We cannot hold it much longer." Dr. Wren screamed over the roar. "If the source reaches the core, the planet will collapse." Eli turned back and shouted, "Then we stop it here." The leader looked at him in shock. "You are only a child." He said, "You cannot fight this." Eli smiled faintly. "Maybe not with fighting." He held out his hands to the twins, but maybe with love. The twins stepped forward, their light merging with Eli's. The air around them shimmered like liquid sunlight. The golden warmth spread through the ice. Melting the ground beneath their feet, the source screamed, its crystal skin cracking under the sudden heat. Dark smoke poured from its mouth, filling the sky. Eli's body trembled as waves of energy ran through him. He could feel the hearts of the shadow creatures. Cold, scared, lonely, he whispered softly, "You're not bad. You're just lost." The twins' voices joined his, singing in their strange light language. The sound was soft but powerful, like a lullaby made of stars. The source roared again, trying to resist. It raised its massive hand and struck the ground, sending ice shards flying. One hit Eli's leg and he fell to his knees. The twins rushed to him, glowing even brighter. Eli gasped, "Don't stop, keep going." He forced himself up, clutching the blanket tighter, his face pale but his eyes full of fire. Dr. Wren shouted from the distance, "Eli, you can't take that much energy." But the boy didn't answer. He looked up at the monster and whispered, "You took their light, now take mine." He closed his eyes, and his small heart began to pulse with golden energy. The twins screamed, their light bursting like suns around him. Together, they formed a circle of warmth that rose into the sky. The shadow creatures all around began to stop moving. Their red eyes flickered, then softened into silver. They looked up toward Eli and the twins. The source stepped back, cracks spreading across its crystal body. Its voice trembled. "You cannot change fate," Eli whispered. "Maybe I can." The light from the blanket spread into the ground. It traveled through every crack of ice, through every shadow. The whole planet began to glow faint gold. The storm stopped, the wind calmed, and the sky cleared. For the first time in centuries, Vega 9 felt alive, but Eli's small body was shaking. His skin glowed faintly, his breath grew weak. The energy was too much for him. The twins held his hands, tears of light streaming down their faces. They looked at him with sadness and love. Eli smiled weakly. "It's okay," he whispered. "You're warm now." The twins cried harder, their light wrapping around him like a cocoon. The alien leader fell to his knees, watching in silence. Dr. Wren covered his face, unable to look. The entire colony stood still as the boy's glow became brighter than the sun. Then in one final burst of golden light, the darkness vanished. The source shattered into a million fragments. Each piece turned into soft blue dust that drifted into the wind. The twins' bodies dissolved into glowing particles that rose toward the sky. Eli's blanket floated gently to the ground, landing where he had stood. The light slowly faded, leaving behind silence and peace. The alien leader walked forward and picked up the blanket. It was warm, glowing faintly like the last breath of a star. He knelt in the snow and whispered, "Protector of light." Dr. Wren stood beside him, tears in his eyes. "He saved us all," he said softly. The wind blew gently through the valley. No more storms, no more shadows, only the quiet hum of a world reborn. The leader lifted the blanket to the sky, and for a moment, he thought he heard a child's laughter echo through the clouds. The battle for Vega 9 was over, but the name of the small boy who gave everything would never be forgotten. The protector of light had become a legend among stars, a symbol of what one small act of warmth could do in the coldest corners of the universe. The world of Vega 9 slept under a quiet sky. The storms were gone, the cold had softened, and the ice began to bloom with strange blue flowers. Where once there was only silence, now there was music, the soft hum of life returning. Every corner of the valley shimmered with light, as if the stars themselves had touched the ground. At the center of the colony, inside a glass dome, lay a small red blanket. It rested on a stone table, still glowing faintly with golden warmth. No one dared to move it. No one dared to speak near it without lowering their voice. The humans called it the Heart of Vega, The aliens called it the light of the protector. Dr. Wren stood near the table every morning. He often looked at the blanket and whispered softly. He was only 5, the alien leader. Now older and calmer, would bow his head beside him. He gave us what our entire army could not, he said. He gave us warmth. Every few days, children from the colony would visit the dome. They would press their small hands against the glass and whisper stories about Eli, the little boy who gave his blanket to the stars. Some said they could still feel the warmth through the glass. Some swore they heard a laugh, light, playful, carried by the wind. Years passed, and the story of the boy spread beyond Vega 9. Alien ships came from distant worlds to see the blanket. Some brought flowers made of crystal. Some brought songs carved into metal. Each visitor touched the glass and left a promise. To protect life, to share warmth, to never forget. The alien twins never returned, but sometimes, when the nights were still and the sky clear, 2 faint white lights appeared near the moon. They moved slowly across the stars, glowing softly like eyes watching over Vega. Many believed it was them, watching, smiling, guarding the world they once called home. Dr. Wren grew old. His hair white as the snow. One evening, he walked to the dome alone, his steps slow, his breath weak. He touched the glass one last time and whispered, "You changed us, Eli." Then he smiled and said, "Sleep well, little hero." Outside, the wind blew softly, wrapping the dome in calm silence. Centuries passed, and Vega 9 became a green world. Its ice melted into rivers, its skies filled with silver birds. Cities of glass and light stood where the old colony once was. But even then, in the heart of the capital, the red blanket remained untouched. It had stopped glowing long ago, yet everyone who stood near it felt a strange comfort, a quiet warmth that reminded them of something human. Children still learned the story in schools. Their teachers told them about the boy who gave his blanket to save 2 alien twins, and how his kindness melted the coldest world in the galaxy. They called it the tale of the protector of light, and every time they spoke his name, the lights in the room flickered softly, as if agreeing. 1,000 years later, far beyond Vega 9, a small exploration ship floated through deep space. Inside, a young captain walked through a dark corridor. Checking the temperature levels, suddenly the ship's system beeped. Detecting a faint signal from an unknown object, the captain followed the signal to the observation deck. There, lying on a pile of silver dust, was a small red blanket. He bent down and picked it up. Brushing away the dust carefully, the fabric was warm, glowing faintly. Just like the old legends described, the captain whispered, "It can't be real." But as he held it, the warmth spread through his hands into his chest. A soft child's voice echoed faintly in his mind. "It's okay. You're safe now." He looked around, but no one was there. Only the quiet hum of space and the distant sparkle of stars. He smiled slowly and whispered, "Protector of light." Then he placed the blanket over a sleeping pod, where a small child rested the moment he did. The ship's temperature rose slightly, and a soft golden glow filled the room. From outside, the ship drifted past a dying star. The light of the star grew brighter for a brief moment, as if saying thank you to the one who once gave his warmth to the universe. The legend of Eli, the human boy who saved a world with kindness, lived on, passed from stars to stars, from heart to heart across galaxies. No monument, no statue, and no crown ever carried his name. Only a red blanket, simple and soft, continued to tell his story. And wherever it went, warmth followed, because even in the coldest dark of space, the light of one small human heart never truly fades.